good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in the world. You know it is JJ and JJ's PC Builds. Before we get started, make sure, if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. What I mean by 4,000 watch hours, watch the video from beginning to end, would be much appreciated, will help us get monetized. And that's what we're trying to work towards, getting monetized. It takes 1,000 hours and it takes 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. My bad. But anyway, it's good to see y'all here, and welcome to all the new subscribers. Welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. And all the subscribers that are veterans here, we do say thank you for all the love and support you've shown us on the channel here. Thank you for watching all the videos and trying to help get us to grow. It is much appreciated. Alright, the reason why I got you here today, I know I said, let me move this over here. Okay. I know I said to y'all the thing that I was going to work on Intel, which I am. Don't get me wrong, which I am. As soon as you make sure you get your drink and your popcorn, and you get it all going on, let me go ahead and just get this focused in better. Drink, snacks, and you'll be set. Now, it come to light to me, I was sitting here working on SL, Second Life, and I noticed there was kind of something weird. Okay, the thing is this, I would go on Second Life, and then I would go and try to open up YouTube. Sure enough, I kept crashing. And I couldn't figure out why I kept crashing and crashing and crashing. And then I started backtracking, and then I started looking piece by piece to see what was making me crash. First, I thought it was that, when I enabled curve optimizer, maybe it was curved optimizer, I had it set at -20, wasn't that. Excuse me. And then I said to myself, maybe it's the frequency that's on the processor, maybe it's fluctuating too much. Maybe we'll go ahead and we'll lock it down. I locked it down at 4.4 gigahertz. It wasn't that. And then I was sitting there fishing through, it would give me a notice, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, I'm reading the notice, and something don't sound right. It says something about with the network. Now I'm thinking, okay, well, I looked at my network, and my network's running fine. In the PC, it's running fine. What could it be that's messing with the network, causing it to crash? I know it wasn't the graphics card. I know it wasn't the processor. I knew it wasn't the motherboard. I knew it wasn't the RAM. I tested all of this. And I said, okay, to myself, what did I add on other than Armory Crate? I added on the AI Suite 3. Well, I've been running that before on the B450 motherboard, never had a problem. Never had this happen. I'm like, okay, what's new that Asus, put in as a bundle with their software? It was the Game Booster 6. Was it First Game or something like that? It was like Game Booster 6. Something like that. Game First or something. Okay, if you get something like that and you're having problems of getting kicked off the game or something like that, and you know you got that as a package deal with your motherboard, you know, look at it. First of all, see if you crash a lot, then look at that, turn it off, and then try playing your game again. And if you don't crash, do like I did. I just, you know, uninstalled it. Until later on down the road, I figure out that they come up with an update that doesn't crash OpenGL. So my thinking is that it was interfering with the internet, causing the internet to fall and crash, causing a packet overflow for the networking, and it was causing a crash. So in my investigation, I was correct on that. So I turned it off and I uninstalled it. It's Game First 6. It comes with the some Asus motherboards come with it. It's not Asus's fault. Okay, this is like, you know, add-on like programming and stuff like that. If you run Armory Crate, that's fine. But, you know, with the Strix motherboard, it comes with a sound program. It comes with the Sonic Studio 3, you know, for your audio, which I know that works out pretty well. And it comes with that Game First booster, which what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to increase and lower the latency on your internet, you know, going from your internet router to your computer. It's supposed to lower the latency. Obviously, they got a little issue with it. I'm sure they'll get it sorted out. But, you know, I had to take it out because I don't want it interfering with my gameplay and my creator work and everything else. You know, I really don't want it to interfere with it. But there's another conclusion with that booster, is that it was pushing the processor power a little bit higher, and it was pushing the heat on the processor up a bit higher. So me putting the curve optimizer on it, it was able to keep a stable temperature below at about 55 degrees Celsius, which is probably a 141 or 138, 141, somewhere in between there, Fahrenheit. So with that happening, now that I know it's not me having everything on auto in the BIOS that's causing the problem. Okay, so I sorted that out, and now when I go on Second Life, I don't seem to be having a problem. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go up on Second Life, and we're going to see how it's running now compared to having that program in and taking that program out. So I'm going to switch over the action screen, and we'll go from there. So here we go. Okay, and I'm back. I had to do a little switcheroonie, so that way y'all can see what's going on. There we go. We'll get that out of the way so I don't look like I got a big head. Now, from what I see the last time that we did this, you know, I was on the B450 motherboard and it was giving me like half that amount. So now y'all can see what's been happening since I've been working with this and getting this all straight. Now, I'm not pushing the processor and I'm not pushing the graphics card. It's running bare bone, off stock as it is. This is just running stock. So don't get it wrong. Don't get your panties up in a roar or anything else. This is just running stock inside of a skybox. Okay? It's not doing too bad inside of a skybox. I will give it that. It's definitely, if I push it harder, I can probably push it up to at least 700 FPS. I know y'all are going to say, there's going to be some naysayers out there that says, well, you know, you're inside of a skybox and, you know, that's not accurate. Well, how accurate do you want it? No matter where you go in Second Life, your FPS is going to fluctuate like crazy. I've already tested it out at a club. I get between 125 to 150 with the club with at least 50 avatars in it. So that made me happy. I am happy with my results. So it goes down to the lows at 150 FPS. It comes up to the high to about almost 650 FPS on the high. So on OpenGL runs a little bit different than DirectX. So, and the way I look at it is this. I'm happy with my results. And I know this is not supposed to be a video on the 4070, which this is, the RTX 4070. With the Asus, it's all Asus, the Asus video card, the Asus motherboard. Only difference is one's got nvidia for the graphics card and the other one's got nvidia for the graphics card and it's got AMD for the processor. So all in all, 64 gigs of RAM, which that brings me to another thing. If I open up OCCT right now, I want y'all to see this. And not that. Ugh. Sorry about the black screening. Didn't mean for that to happen. But that's all a part of the program. It's all a part of the gig. So while OCCT is loading, what we're going to do, watch the memory. Watch right up here where it says mem. Watch that memory and watch the RAM down here. Right here. Watch that RAM. And watch the FPS when I start this. I want y'all to witness this. I'm gonna break the bank right here. I've already tested this before. We're going to test this again. And I want you all to watch the FPS drop. See that? See what happened to my FPS? It's no trick. It is no trick. Look at the amount of RAM right here. Almost 64 gigs of RAM. Now look at the memory, the VRAM. This is the VRAM. This is all I'm using, 1.3 gigs of VRAM. Look at the regular RAM, the computer RAM. See the difference on the computer RAM? Big difference right there. I wanted you all to see this. I want you all to witness this and see what I'm seeing. Okay. Now, me using up almost 98% of the RAM. Right here. Almost 98%. Now watch. As I hit the stop button, watch this. Now, once I click on the screen, watch the FPS. It's going to take a little bit for it to climb back up, but y'all get the point. Now, the thing is this, and this is where I got a little bit of an issue. It's where I got a little bit of an issue that I discovered this. Why is the computer RAM affecting the FPS in this game? That's going to be one of the issues. Why the computer RAM is affecting the FPS in the game. Now, is it that the OpenGL is tied to the computer RAM, or is it tied to the VRAM on the graphics card? Which one is it? I like for y'all to get in the comment below and tell me what you think about this. I'm not going to give you the answer on it, but I want y'all to get in the comment below and give me your answer, what you think happened just a moment ago. Why, when you use up all the computer RAM, the dedicated computer RAM, that the FPS dropped all the way down? Now, see, this is where the problem, where everybody says, well, you know, you're losing FPS and this and that. Well, if your computer, and this, I've seen this happen on DirectX 12 and DirectX 11. I did a little bit of Simon test on those. Happened the same way. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, isn't the graphics card directly connected to the processor? From what this test showed me, that it's not directly connected to the processor, to the discrete graphics card. That it still has to flow through the RAM, the PC RAM, the dedicated RAM, in some sort of fashion to give it a little bit of a boost to keep it up into the higher levels. So what has never been tested was the actuality of being on a game and then taking the RAM up to 98% away from the computer, pulling it down 98%, leaving only like 1 gig of RAM left on your computer to see how it's going to function, to see if it actually affects the graphics card. Which my test confirms it does affect the graphics card, which means that's where the latency comes in, is because it doesn't seem like that the graphics card is holding the right amount of VRAM. It seems they got it scheduled to pull from the PC RAM other than the VRAM off the graphics card. Which I know that doesn't make sense to some. But I know there's going to be a couple tech tubers out there going to be wondering themselves and trying this out to see if the dedicated RAM is actually affecting the graphics cards. You know, I've heard of this a long time ago. I wanted to see if today, if it's still doing the same thing as it did back years ago, where most of it ran through the dedicated memory on the computer, which I'm starting to see it is. So no matter, and get this, no matter what amount of RAM you got, VRAM you got on your graphics card, it's not going to matter. Not one bit. Not unless you're excuse me, not unless your dedicated graphics card is dedicated itself to the processor only. That it's a direct, straight throughput from the processor to the graphics card. Some people might want to, argue this point with me. You can't argue with proof being in the pudding and me just now showing you that by pulling the RAM down to almost barely nothing, that it affects the FPS on the game. So all this time, you're using your game and you're thinking, I'm running 16 gigs of RAM. It seems to be running correct for mine. Sure, use it up to 16 gigs and see what happens. Or you get 32 gigs of RAM. Use it up to 32 gigs and see what happens. Or if you get 64 gigs, and that's why a lot of creators are using at least 64 gigs of RAM in their PC or greater, is because of that. It's a snowball effect. Now, the thing is this. If the graphics card, the processor was pulling all the RAM off of the graphics card, do you really think that graphics card would hold up forever? Hell no. Would not hold up forever. It would burn those chips off of that completely. Because basically it comes down to this, is that it's the dedicated RAM is sharing with the VRAM that's on the graphics card. They're both sharing with each other. It's the only way they're going to work together is if they're sharing together. So it takes a certain amount of dedicated PC RAM to run the VRAM that's on your graphics card. And the latency is that once you use up all your dedicated RAM, your VRAM will not kick in and take over and say, hey, well, we need to keep the FPS up there. It's not going to do that. It's just going to draw it down and give you less FPS. And that's exactly what just happened on the test that I just did. And I showed you where it says OGL right here. If you look right up here where it says OGL, I got my cursor going right up there. Okay, it draws it completely down. I mean, it drew it completely down. I mean, so if you're thinking having more RAM on your graphics card is going to resolve your issue, actually it won't. So just to be honest with you, so you don't get this as a surprise, I'm bringing this to you today to let you know what's going on. Okay? Now, when you're hot in your gaming and you don't have enough PC RAM, then basically you're gonna lag. It's just gonna lag. The more that you use up of that PC RAM, the more it's gonna lag. It's gonna pull it down. And I noticed that a lot of some of these people that are doing the testing, they put 16 gigs of RAM in there, and you look at their RAM draw, for their PC, they're up to 12 to 13 gigs of RAM. And they're stuttering. Maybe because that's why you're stuttering. Is you're thinking that your PC, your CPU's bottlenecking when it's actually your RAM that's bottlenecking. Maybe if you would have put 64 gigs of RAM in there and try it and see if you're bottlenecking then. Try your own test. I just tried my test and I'm doing it with the RTX 4070. Now, that was another test I had to see for myself, and I wanted to take you all along with me to show you what the real deal was. I mean, so this way you can see for yourself what I see over here. Okay? I wanted you to see that so you know for sure. That you know for sure. Let me check this real quick. Where the bottlenecking's coming from. Okay? I just got off the game, so that way, you know, y'all don't have to stay on here forever, because I'm only going to go up to 30 minutes. So I'm going to cut y'all a 30-minute video, so there it is. But this is my conclusion. This is my conclusion to y'all. Okay? If you believe your processor is going to be your total bottleneck, I don't believe it is. I believe that your total bottlenecking is coming from your RAM. If your motherboard cannot support enough RAM on there, yes, it will make your processor look like it's bottlenecking. Okay? So the support of your RAM on your PC is very vital to your discrete graphics card. Just like integrated graphics, it's the same thing. It puts out the same responses. And the reason why when I run this discrete graphics card compared to running integrated graphics, the only difference is that one, they're both sharing the same RAM. They're both sharing dedicated RAM on the PC. So the only difference is that it gives you a little bit of extra if the game requires for the VRAM. If that game requires for that VRAM. But if it doesn't require for that VRAM, it's not going to touch it. It's only going to, on the graphics card, it's only going to use the amount of VRAM it needs to support the game. But it's not supporting the FPS. It seems that the dedicated RAM on your PC is supporting the FPS. I just got done proving that to you. Y'all, I don't know what to tell you on this. I'll do some more testing on it and I'll see what comes about this. But I'm just saying, and the question's going to be in your mind, and I want y'all to put this in your mind. On your dedicated video card, is your VRAM supporting your video card, or is it the PC RAM that's supporting your graphics card? So you have to think about that. I just showed you by taking away almost all the RAM away from the dedicated RAM away from the computer, it dropped the FPS like a fly. It dropped it all the way down to from 500 something down to 15 FPS. So as you can see, if you take all your RAM away, your dedicated RAM, guess what you're left with? The VRAM on the video card should have picked up and gave you an additional boost to keep it up into that higher FPS, which it did not. And that's what shocked me. So I'm going to do more testing on this. I'm going to try it on some graphically supported games. Try this test again on some DX12 games. Pull it right up to 98% and see what the FPS is going to drop to. When I do that, I'll take you all along with me. It's not the graphics card that's the problem. It's not the processor that's the problem. It's basically, it comes down to if your motherboard supports enough RAM for you to pull that much RAM away from your computer, will it pull the FPS down? Which it's yes. I just showed you. It pulled it down. So, It's something to think about. But anyway, I'm going to leave you right there at that thought. So if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. And again, welcome all the new subscribers. Welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. And you know, my veteran subscribers, thank you so much for your awesome patronage and your awesome watching the videos and helping support the channel. It is all appreciated. So until the next time in the next video, do remember, tomorrow night is going to be graphics card nightmares right here on JJ's PC Builds. So do be there. It will be coming out tomorrow. Y'all stick around for that. Until the next time in the next video, this is JJ on JJ's PC Builds. We will see you on the next video.